Hey, good afternoon, darlings. Lovely to be with you for today's Cuppa with Katie show. So, I've got a juicy question to answer today from a woman in my community. And I haven't written it above because it is quite long. So, I thought I'd just read it out. And I've got a bit of an idea of how I want to respond to this question. Although I really do trust that what's meant to come through will come through. And I hope that it will be what this woman needs to hear. And I always trust that within it will be some nuggets that you will take away as well. But I feel like the theme of this question is around finance, around money, it's around parenting, it's around choice, it's around decision making, it's around meaning making, it's around how we kind of create a rod for our own backs based on decisions and beliefs that we've created in the past that may or may not serve us now. Yeah, it's about so much. This question is really juicy. It brings up a lot. So I've got a sense of what's going to come through with regard to my answer today. And I will do my best. I had a very disturbed sleep last night. I was up for about 3 hours from like 11:30 to 2:30 on a call. Some of you might have seen my post around that. I wouldn't usually make myself available to be online at that time of night. In fact, I literally never have before. And it's kind of thrown me a little bit today. So I'm taking it easy and I'm going to trust that I'm going to do my best with my answer. Hey, Karen, lovely to have you here. And anyone else who's here live, please do say hi. And if you're on replay, type in #replay. But yeah, okay, let's dive in. All right, so the question, let me just bring up another screen. Here goes. So I'm going to keep this woman anonymous, by the way. Oh, hi, Helen. Nice to have you, darling. Hi. Lisa Marie, hello. Hi. Good to have you guys. All right, yeah, keeping this person anonymous. Here is the question. As a single mom, I've tried my damnedest to give them all I can to make up for the awful divorce we went through due to my ex-husband's adultery, their father. I was pregnant with my daughter, youngest of my 2 children, girl and boy, when I discovered he was having an affair. So there's a heap of trauma on that, even it seems 20 years on. Amazing how we can hold on to it. And I do feel, just as I'm reading those first 2 sentences, there's still healing here, right? There's still healing. I feel particularly strongly for my daughter, who, in my belief, missed out on having any time as a family unit. She was 3 months old when I had no choice but to kick him out. He wouldn't leave of his own volition despite not giving up his woman. My son was 5. My daughter has never been his priority because his 2 children with the woman he cheated on me with, who have actually now been married longer than we were, have a lavish lifestyle and get most things they want. My daughter cannot even get a fiver from him. This still hurts me. I found myself in dire straits financially, and the money I saved for years in child benefit until they were 21, I had to borrow my daughter's half and cannot pay it back currently, and currently cannot see how I will have returned it to the pot by February 22 when she reaches 21. I feel like I've let her down too. My question is how to connect with my empowered feminine, excuse me, in the current situation, because I'm struggling to forgive myself, even though logically I know this cost of living crisis is affecting lots of people. Okie dokie. So as you can hear, it's a big question. There's a lot of elements to it, and I am going to answer what I can. Oh, hi, Wendy in Australia. Nice to have you, darling. Hi. Okie dokie. So let me go back to the question again. So what I'm going to share, whatever comes up to share, please know it's coming from an absolute place of love and with the desire to be supportive and shine a light on what perhaps you, as the woman that's asked me this question, you may not have considered before or have found it hard to consider. And one thing that really kind of jumps out at me is when you said I had no choice. it feels, the feeling I get through this question is your disempowerment in your lack of choice. And I'm sure it must feel like that. And I'm sure that the situation that happened, your marriage ending and the way that it ended, and clearly there's still heart healing around that, which is, there's no judgment on that. Healing takes what it takes, and we'll heal to the degree that we're ready to when we're ready to. But when somebody behaves like that and a marriage ends in those circumstances, I can imagine that the choice piece comes up for you immediately. It's like your choice to be married might have been taken away from you, is how it might have felt. I do feel that it's important to reiterate, though, that we are always in choice. And when we decide and when we tell ourselves, I had no choice, we are hugely disempowering ourselves. So you've asked, how can I step into the empowered feminine? To take your power back, to feel empowered, I would like to invite you to remember you always have a choice. You had a choice around, like, you chose that you didn't want to be in that marriage anymore. You said, I had no choice but to kick him out. You did have a choice. You chose it. That's what you chose. Rightly, wrongly, zero judgment. It's not about that. It's about right here, right now, giving you back your power. I would like to invite you today to tap into why you made that choice and own your choice. It might have been a really tough choice. It might have felt like you had no choice. There was so much attached to it, and you had a choice. And while you live today believing that you didn't have a choice, you are disempowered. So why did you make the choice? And yeah, I think that needs to be questioned. Okay, so this piece around it hurts you, so the relationship between your daughter and her father, and it hurts you. And honey, I hear you, and I honor that you feel hurt. And I would like to share something that helped me enormously time and time again when I had situations, as so many of us do with exes, when we have children and then we're not with their partner anymore, and the children still have a relationship with the father or the mother, and stuff comes up. I mean, just to share really openly, there were many times when I didn't really agree with perhaps how my son's dad parented him. I might have made different decisions, done things differently, showed up in a different way. And it could span anything from the amount of attention we each give the child, to what we feed the child, to financial decisions around the child. I mean, it spans everything. And there were many, many times when I felt that I didn't agree with choices that his dad made. I mean, you can be in a relationship to experience that too. You don't have to be, in an ex situation. And I just want to share what really, really helped me. And when I've shared this with other clients and women before, it's been a real tonic and a beautiful healing balm, and a lovely different perspective to view parenting from. So I just want to share this today on that topic. There's oh my goodness, now that I'm going to forget how to pronounce his name, Khalil Gibran. I always want to Google now and I can't, it'll take too much time. But a poet by the prophet, Khalil Gibran. I know I'm mispronouncing that, so please excuse me. I'm running on empty today with not a lot of sleep. He wrote a beautiful poem that was actually turned into a beautiful song if you wanted to look it up on Spotify. And I want to read the words of the poem to you now, because there's so much healing and so much truth in these words. And when we are struggling as a parent, when we are guilting ourselves and feeling bad and taking on more responsibility than is ours based on the other parent's actions, beliefs, the way they show up. Like, it helps so much. Let me just read this out to you. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. For life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday. And I absolutely love that. And I really, oh, hi, Frances. Good to have you, honey. Hi. I absolutely love it. And what I love about it is, and this is what I take from it, and this is how I have managed those more difficult times when I've not been in agreement with my son's dad. And I have to remember that from a spiritual perspective, and again, you don't have to buy into this. This is my personal belief. From a spiritual perspective, I believe our children choose us. They choose the parents. And they choose us based on the soul growth they come here to have. So this is from the perspective that we are all spiritual beings here having a human experience, and from the perspective that the human experience is designed such that it gives us and creates opportunities for us to, within which we can evolve and grow ourselves on a spiritual soul level. We need the human experience, the day-to-day, the black and whiteness of it, the ego of it, to evolve and grow on a spiritual level. I know that on a spiritual level, I chose my mother and my father. And I chose my personal experience with either one of them and with them as a couple to give me the life lessons, to give me the challenge, to give me the love to become the woman I came here to be, and actually to do the work I came here to do. And so I've taken that on for myself. And then when I had my child, and I have his dad, and well, I had his dad, and we parted ways. I have to remember this, that, and by the way, his dad, of course, doesn't always agree with me, right? It goes both ways. And the spiritual perspective I find very helpful and empowering, because I have to remember that, like I look back at this question and you said, this still hurts me. It says, my daughter cannot even get a fiver from him. This still hurts me. And for you as a parent, I understand that it would hurt you. And I wonder if you could remember this perspective, that the relationship is between your daughter, grown-up daughter, and her father. And whether it hurts her or not is her business. It's not yours. She chose him. And it's really hard as a parent to remove yourself, especially when you consider parental responsibility. And if you can take on that spiritual lens and allow her perhaps to have her experience of her dad with full faith and trust that she's here experiencing life perfectly, and that she's experiencing life in the way that she chose to. And interesting that we're going back to choice. On a soul level, she chose to have the experiences she's having, even the painful ones. And as I know, and you can't possibly be in my community without knowing this, our challenges are our opportunity. They're the springboard from which we evolve and grow. And like I just said, become the women we came here to be, and the men that came here to be. I just wonder if that perspective might allow you to lift some of the self-blame, the guilt you're carrying. I mean, you are carrying a very, very heavy burden of responsibility. And while you're carrying that huge burden of responsibility, it feels to me like there's no faith and trust in that all-loving, intelligent, divine source energy that only wants us to feel love, that only wants us to become the best possible versions of ourselves, that only wants the best for us. Like while you're carrying the burden of responsibility, there's no faith and trust that we are, and your daughter and your children are, held by this loving energy, and that they are living their lives out perfectly in a way that they pre-chose. And when we still have choice in every moment, that's their choices. How they choose to relate with their dad it's their choices. How they choose to either take the challenge of their relationship with their dad and use it as a tool for their own personal growth and evolution. That's their choice. If they don't, that's their choice. If they live in victim to the relationship with their dad, that's their choice. It's their choice, especially as they are grown. When they're little, we, with parental responsibility, have very practical, safeguarding, logistical choices to make. That's real. That doesn't go away. And with perspective, I personally feel with perspective, we can make our choices become easier and more empowered. Does that make sense? Hi, Anne-Marie. Good to have you. Hi. Pleasure to share. Hope I'm making sense today. And so not to labor that point anymore. I think you kind of get where I'm going with that. And to move on down your question, I'm just looking back at it now. Yes, you said you saved for years their child benefits with the intention of passing it on to each child when they turn 21. And what a beautiful decision and intention to have. Isn't that beautiful? And I'm noticing as I read that, and I read the pain you're in around that, and you said, I've let her down too. I feel like I've let her down too. Like her dad's let her down, and now I'm letting her down. Huge rod for your own back, right? Now, I understand that you're feeling like that, and don't, like, I have my own stuff that I have to keep in check around my own guilt, around my own child. Like, it just feels like as a parent, parenting and guilt seem to go hand in hand. But right there is the daily invitation to move from fear to love, to surrender into faith and trust, to tap back into the truth that there's more going on than our human experience and our ego experience, right? So parenting right there is a beautiful daily invitation to our own continued healing and growth, to our own continued expansion and evolution. Like, parenting is that beautiful challenge if we choose to look at it like that. Again, choice. There's that word again. And at the moment, you are choosing to tell yourself, I feel like I've let her down too, that double whammy. I invite you actually to look at your entire question and notice all of the beliefs contained within your question. There's many there. One that I'm just bringing out right now is, I feel like I've let her down too. Just notice that belief. That's a really, really powerful belief. It's clearly a very disempowering belief that's bringing up a lot of guilt and shame for you. I wonder what else could be true. So for every single belief that you will be able to find within this one long question, I want you to ask yourself, list out all of the beliefs and ask yourself what else could be true. Like, for example, one of your beliefs is, I had no choice but to kick him out. How does that make you feel? How do you desire to feel instead? What else could be true that has you feel how you desire to feel? Like, you're choosing one perspective that actually gives you a stick to beat yourself up with for the rest of time. What else could be true is a very, very empowering, self-inquiring question that we need to be using every single day with most of our beliefs. What else could be true? How do I desire to feel instead? And what do I need to believe to feel like that? Because remember, we feel our thinking. So I feel like I've let her down too. What else could be true? Reflect back on all the years that you've been parenting your children. Where have you not let them down? Might be a better question to ask yourself. Where have you been there for them? Might be a better question to ask yourself. Let's refocus your lens, your perspective. Let's refocus your energy. Let's bring you back into an empowered place. At the minute, there's a choice being made here to only focus on where there felt like there was no choice, where there's guilt, where you feel like you're wrong. That's where the focus is right now. It's understandable. This is all happening. It's happened. It's happening. And today is a clean, fresh slate. You can choose to look at your life differently and look at your children's lives differently with a different perspective. You can choose today to course correct. How have you been there for your children? How have your choices supported your children? How are your ex-husband's choices supporting your children? Now, that might feel like a stretch of a question, but remember, from that spiritual perspective, wow, there's a really interesting, juicy answer to that question. And so once upon a time, you made a decision to save the child benefit payments to give to your children when they turn 21. And I'm just wondering if that decision back then is serving you today. And I want to remind you that you're allowed to change your mind. And I want to remind you that life shifts and changes, and our invitation in the challenge of that is to move forward and make decisions and choices that come from a place of love, not fear. Life has evolved and changed and shifted, and now you're judging yourself from a place of fear rather than tapping into love and the truth of the here and now. Many, many women I know would say, but the child benefit was to help me in the moment support my children throughout their life. As many women I know wouldn't have had the luxury, and I include myself in this, while I was receiving child benefit, that money every month, there was a period of a few years in my life when my son was very small, where that money was game changing for me. And it was like £80 a month, I think. It was game changing for me in certain years. And I used that money to put food on the table. I didn't save it. Does that make me a bad person? And you're judging yourself now based on a decision you made some years ago. You're allowed to change your mind. And I wonder if you could release judgment and release the grip of the decisions you made some years ago on the here and now. If you could surrender and release and forgive yourself and allow yourself to open and move forward, I wonder how that money might even come in a different way. I wonder how you might be able to gift your children that money in a different way. Who knows where it could come from? We get so attached to the source of the money. And for you right now, the source of that money is the child benefit. It was in the savings and I've gone and spent it. And now it's gone for good. While you align with scarcity, while you align with fear-based thinking, while you align with allowing yourself to be in a disempowered place because of these disempowered belief systems, which you do get to challenge and change, while you align with that, you're shut down to possibility. When you realign with love instead of fear, when you realign with, well, all we've just spoken about, imagine what could open up for you. Imagine like the source of that money is source. It's a miraculous, abundant place. Imagine where it could come from and more. Can you even feel how limited it is? It's like the desire is to get back that amount of money. Well, what if more was available? And what if more was available from a different source? What if it came through to your children, not even through you and from you, but from another source? We don't know. So I kind of feel like the answer today is really an invitation to just open you up into a new expansive perspective. I hope that's helpful. I can't wait to check in with you and hear. I know you're not here live, and I can't wait to check in with you and hear how this lands for you. Maybe I know you're a member in the Love Lounge membership, so maybe in that space you could let me know how this lands for you in the comments underneath this video inside our membership, so you keep that anonymity. So my darlings, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you for those of you that were able to be here live. Those who are watching the replay, don't forget to type in #replay. And if you do fancy being a part of the Love Lounge membership, we're a pretty awesome group of women. You're so welcome to come and hang out with us. There's a link to that space in the text above. And will I be seeing you next week? Yes, I will. Next week will be, let me look at my calendar, the last Cuppa With Katie show before I go on a 2-week summer holiday. We're off to Greece and I can't wait. We're counting the days now. But I will be for sure posting lots of beautiful pictures of beautiful Greece. All right, darlings, thanks for joining me today. I trust that there was something within this that spoke to you, and I will see you next week. Love you lots. See you later. Bye.